You want to make sure and do your due diligence, but you want to make sure that you're setting this up the right way. And if you do it right the first time, then you won't have to go back and fix it later. But if you don't do it right the first time, the chances are you're not going to realize it until quite a ways down the road. And then you're still going to need to go back and fix it. Welcome to Arbitrage to Equity, the show where you'll learn the exact tools, techniques, and action steps that people are using every day to build true passive income that transforms their lives and the lives of their families. I'm your host, Tom Swan. Now let's get down to details. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Arbitrage to Equity. In this episode, we're going to go over how to set up your listing on the platforms such as Airbnb and Vrbo, and what things you need to look out for when setting that up. All right, so let's get into it. When you're setting up your listing, you need to go, the first place you should start setting up your listing is Airbnb. That platform will get you the most traffic depending on market. There are some pockets of markets that VRBO will get more traffic than Airbnb, but ultimately, from what I've seen, Airbnb gets about 80% of the market, and then VRBO picks up a good portion of the rest of that. So that being said, you want to go and set up your listing and set up on Airbnb and start there. Ultimately, you need to build both of them out, but they each take time. It's going to take you a solid hour to 2 hours to set your listing up the right way if you have everything ready to go. But what you need to do is go through the initial setup of the platform. So you're going to go to start your listing. I'm not going to go over the details of it here. One, because I don't have it in front of me, and two, because it's pretty straightforward that it walks you through. But when you go through, you're going to go through your description. You're going to go through the different elements of your listing. And one suggestion on your listing headline is that you put it all in capital letters. It helps you to stand out. Anything that we can do to stand our listing out from the competition is going to benefit, right? So ultimately, you want to stand out as much as possible. Put your headline in capital letters. Now, once you go through the basics of the listing setup, which they make it very simple for you, it takes about 10 minutes to walk through, do a quick description. Don't go crazy on your description because nobody reads it anyway. And then you're going to go through, give your basic amenities and all of that. Once you hit submit, it's going to go live. And what I suggest is as soon as it goes live, unlist that listing. And there's multiple reasons for that. So when you're going through, and they've moved it around, I'm not sure if it's on the first part of it or the second part, but when they give you the option to set your nightly rate, below that is a little check mark that says it gives you the option to offer a 20% discount for the first 3 bookings in order to get get your property out there, get it listed, and get bookings coming in to get those reviews. I really heavily suggest not to opt into that. Uncheck that box for the 20% discount, and then go through. I don't know if that's before you list it or after. I think it's before, actually. But once you list the listing and it goes live, immediately go into the listing as fast as you can and unlist it. And the reason for that is because once it goes live, you have a wide open calendar, and your pricing is also not dialed in for where you need it. So you can set your nightly price ahead of time to $400 a night or some high rate that you want to set it at, but ultimately you need to go back in and do work on the listing, and you don't want the listing live and active until you have it fully ready to go. And so when you go live with it through the initial setup, it immediately makes it live on the marketplace. And if you don't have everything dialed in, there's a really good chance, and it's happened to me, where all of a sudden, immediately, you'll get like a month-long booking for less than you're even paying for the house. And it's also at a 20% discount. So you're making even less. And now you just blew a month where you don't even have the listing ready to go, and all of a sudden you're like, oh no. And then if you cancel it, you get penalized. So you really want to make sure that you're very quick about this and you're very careful, because you can make a big mistake right out of the gate, and it happens a lot. And if you cancel, you will get penalized. You only get I think it's 2 cancels in a year, and you don't want your first booking to be a cancel. So that being said, once you get in, the way to on Airbnb, on the hosting side of the listing, you want to go, it's on the top of the screen. There's a little dot that's going to be green because the listing's live. If you hover over that, it'll give you the option to change it to unlisted. There's also a section in the details that you can change that, but the fastest way to do it is to grab that little green button and drop it down to unlisted. So from there, then you need to go back through and go page by page through every section of the hosting platform for that listing, and make sure that you're filling out every single line by line, that you're making sure that you get every single piece of the puzzle. And especially under amenities, you want to go back through, because there's going to be things unchecked like hot water and a washer and dryer, or maybe it'll just be a washer but no dryer. Things like, do you have a shower? All these little things, but people actually select all these things and search that way. So when you have all of your amenities listed, you're building your exposure to the audience that you're trying to target. You want to cast as broad a net as possible, and the way to do that is to offer all of the amenities that you actually offer. Don't check off things that you don't offer, because inevitably you will get somebody through who will complain that you said you had X and you didn't have it. So you ultimately want to go through, but it takes a lot of time, because there are hundreds of amenities that you need to go through line by line and check them all off. And there's a lot of them. So it takes time. You want to make sure and do your due diligence, but you want to make sure that you're setting this up the right way. And if you do it right the first time, then you won't have to go back and fix it later. But if you don't do it right the first time, the chances are you're not going to realize it until quite a ways down the road. And then you're still going to need to go back and fix it. So just do it right. Take the time out of the gate. It's time consuming, but it's necessary. And then the biggest thing is, for me, I schedule my properties that I can only book 90 days out. The most I recommend going is 6 months, 180 days out. I don't recommend going more than that. There can be market fluctuations. There can be elements that you don't realize are there, such as events and other things coming in. You don't know what the economy is going to look like a year from now, so you don't want to be booking a year out, because you could be costing yourself money a year from now and not even realize it. So if you do 6 months out, the way that I recommend to do the strategy for pricing is to, after 90 days, schedule it so that you have a setting option in there. You can say that a minimum, after 90 days out booking has to be a minimum of a 7-night stay, or you could do 5 nights or something like that. So that way you're guaranteeing anyone booking farther than 3 months out is going to be a long-term stay, and you're going to get a good amount of money for that booking. So all of that to say, make sure that you're doing your due diligence as you're going through your listing. The other thing I would suggest is not to turn on smart pricing. When you're first starting out, you may want to just go in and manually change your price, or I recommend connecting to a dynamic pricing tool like Price Labs or Beyond Pricing. I can provide links for those. But you want to make sure that you have a dynamic pricing tool that is adjusting your price according to your market, your seasonality, and any events or any special occasions that are going on. If you're not doing that, then you're more than likely missing out on money, because the dynamic pricing tool will adjust pricing based on your market and things that are going on that you may not even realize. But it also bases it off of your competition. So you will know what your ideal rate is going to be rather than just guessing. And the other thing that you can do with your dynamic pricing tool is it adjusts your pricing up and down so that your pricing is constantly moving. And that makes you an active host, which is what the platforms like. Once you have all of this set up on one platform, then you need to go and do it on the other platform. So once you have it set up on Airbnb, then you need to go set it up on VRBO, and you need to sync your calendars so that they don't double book. So you can book when something books on Airbnb, it'll block VRBO and vice versa. So that's the basis on how to set these these platforms up, how to set your listing up. If you like this information, leave a comment, go leave us a review. And if you want to, you're welcome to give feedback. Subscribe to the channel, and I will see you on the next episode.